Well, what are we working on today? Well, Flathead Terry's going to work on taking out the transmission out of the 37 Coupe. And first thing we're going to do, we're going to take out that carpet carefully. Actually, it's not even carpet, it's actually the original vinyl. So we're going to carefully take that out. And then take the floor pans out. We'll see how good that goes. And I might even pop this seat out too, so it gives me a little bit more room to operate. So let's see how this goes. All right, I was successful in carefully removing the front floor mat without ripping it, or at least not ripping it any more than it already is. There's the boot for the parking brake. Let's take a look inside. Now I can tell that the screws have been replaced for both panels. There's a panel down here and then another one up there. I know that the previous owner put a master cylinder in it, so I know he had removed it once before. So hopefully now it's just removing these screws and pulling that cover back. Okay, I have successfully removed all of the mounting screws throughout the panel here, the floor pan. Got them all out. Of course, there's one guy that didn't want to come out. Next, I have to go underneath to release the arm for the parking brake up here. Let's climb under and take a look. There we go. So we got to release this mechanism right here and there, and that whole assembly will come up. So it looks like that's never been taken off. So let the adventure begin. Okay, I was able to pull that off. There it is there. I just put the pin back in and the cotter pin so I don't lose that. All right, so now let's go up to the top. Okay, I pulled out the floor pan. There it is with the parking brake assembly attached to it. Now let's take a look inside. And this is what we have. I'm going to pull that transmission out. I don't see how these Plymouth engineers could have done it any better by making the floor pan nice and wide for me. There we go. So this is what we're going to have to do. Of course, we got the drive shaft to disconnect over here. I'll have to disconnect the whole top shifter portion. Have to take that out. Let's see, what else do we got down there? Got to disconnect the battery. A couple other things here. Got the speedometer cable. While I have that out, I might just lubricate it. It does wobble a little bit. The other thing I'm going to do too is drain the fluid out first. So that's the plan, and eventually too what I want to do, per another video I saw that showed putting studs in here. So as you pull this back, you can support it as you do that without bending the pinion shaft that comes out of the front. Okay, to get better access to the speedometer cable, I'm going to have to remove this pin over here and pull that assembly off that shaft. Okay, I was able to remove the C-clip off of there, pull that assembly off, and now I was able to get the speedometer cable off, and now onto the drive shaft right over there. Okay, got all four nuts off of the drive shaft on this side of things. Let's go down to the other side by the differential. Okay, I got the bolts out. Now I'll pull the drive shaft off. Okay, got the drive shaft out. Okay, draining out the transmission, and that is some very thick oil. It's about 42 degrees or so. Yeah, that is some thick molasses. No wonder when I go into second gear when it's cold, it grinds a little bit till it warms up. Okay, while that's draining, I'm going to clean off this surface here so I can get that top of the transmission off, and then also get to the bolts, the mounting bolts here, kind of crusty, get that prepared. So okay, I was able to remove all 8 bolts from the top there. I also loosened up the top floor pan as well to give me more access to the bolts. But that's that. You can take a look. There's filings in there, probably from grinding those gears on occasion over the years. I don't think this has ever been taken apart, but there it is. So just one more bolt, and let's see if we can pull it out. Okay, unbolted the inspection cover. Let me climb under here. It might get a little wobbly here, but let me see if I can get underneath here and see what we're up against here. There's the clutch assembly there. You know, terrible clutch chatter. So we'll take a look here. You can see that the ring gear probably needs to be replaced. You know, that clutch may have been replaced. I don't know if that's original or not. Can't tell. Let's see. Well, that's what I know. So next thing I do is take out the transmission, which is still in, and then slowly unbolt this and take off the flywheel and go from there. Okay, I installed the guide pins, as you can see. Next, let's slide her out and then drop it on the floor. Well, hopefully not drop it, but carefully place it on the floor. Okay, now we can drop the transmission. So I had to remove this assembly here from the transmission as I pulled it out. And I know it pulls the throwout bearing back. Yeah, I get that, but why is it bolted to the transmission as you pull it out? So anyway, some questions I have. I'm going to have to revisit the manual again and see what the deal is. It's kind of a hassle to reinstall, but that's where we're at. Let's get this part disassembled. Okay, now with the transmission out, now I can take off that pressure plate. Okay, remove the clutch. Here's the disc here. Again, I had excessive chatter. That's one side, and here's the other. And you can see on let's see, this side here, yeah, it's down to the rivets on these guys here. Yeah, it's down to the rivets over here, so could be part of the problem, not sure. And then here's the pressure plate itself over here. Yeah, how good are those springs internally there? Hard to say. Looks like it's been around a while, but we're going to replace it anyway and go from there. Okay, and there's the transmission in all of its glory. Quite the oily beast. We'll get it all cleaned up. Go through it. Okay, one thing I wanted to summarize is a couple of things. First of all, to get the flywheel off, I have to remove 6 bolts. With this view, there's 2 bolts behind here on the bell housing, actually on the flange of the motor that attach to the bell housing on this side. There are 2 on the top here. Got those out. And then there's also 2 on this side too. And you can see I removed the starter, and I'll show you that shortly from the other view. The other thing I have done too, which I didn't mention before, or did, but basically is you have to remove the throwout bearing fork, which is attached to a pivot pin inside there. So I'll show you that as well. So that's the deal. You have to move that back. You can probably see a little bit of gap in here, but I had to move that bell housing back just about 1/4 inch for that flywheel to drop. So there you go. Okay, here's another angle. You can see I removed the starter, 2 5/8 bolts that hold that in, and you can see a little bit of a gap there between the bell housing and the motor to give me just enough room to get that flywheel to drop. I will be cleaning this up, some of that grease off, just so I can get the bolts back in. It's amazing how much oil build up after 83 years. Okay, now that I have the flywheel out, it's time to get that ring off with dueling map gas torches. If these don't work, we go with Mr. Oxyacetylene torch. Alright, there's the flywheel, and here's the ring gear. Again, I was able to heat it up and take a look. Time to replace it. I got a new one on order, and we'll heat it up and put it back on. Next is to get that resurfaced.